smiles. Smile, Jordan. I'm gonna hook you like a walleye. I'm gonna hook you like a walleye. Oh man, you guys. Oh, there they come. I am so sorry, you guys. We don't know what happened. Well, actually, we do know what happened now. And maybe we can blame Clint. Maybe we can't.
No, you will. Doesn't matter.
We will. Well, we will, but we could also hire a producer and just be done with this and never have to worry about it again.
Fine by me. Shoot.
Oh, hey, there's a bunch of people from YouTube firing back in. You guys, we are so sorry. Yeah, whoops. I think we understand what happened, but you know what? We appreciate you guys coming back. I really wanted to get into the side imaging stuff too. Like, we show the Hummingbird video and everything's like, everyone's like, oh man, they get the concepts of it. Some shadowing, like everyone's like, okay, let's get rolling into it. And goodbye. But we appreciate you guys coming back. We're going to give you guys a few minutes. We're going to do a good giveaway here just to get you guys fired back up.
Can't hear us, Clint.
Turn it up, Clint. Actually, I can see that the bar is not going up that high when we talk in the built-in microphones. So turn that guy up. Everyone just relax. Turn up on. Oh, he's turning it up. There you go. I know you can hear me now because I can see it's tapping out. I'll just let me just start tapping the table. You guys will hear that every time. Just kidding. All right, guys, we're going to give everyone a few minutes, fire back in. I see some people from Facebook. I see some people from YouTube. I know it's a really important topic. You guys are blowing me up all week with your questions.
I love Dustin.
We're getting in here.
What else am I going to do without this live feed? Hang out with my family?
You get your family to crowd around the TV and then you watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fired up. When does Cormorant season open? It's on any foggy day on the Columbia. Oh, never mind. I don't want to talk about that. Foggy Day Ducks. Way better. Okay, thank you. Rather be on YouTube. Here we go. Joaquin, thanks for turning up. I can't wait to do some coho fishing. July 5th, buddy. Yeah. Got some of the new line for the sturgeon fishing. Hope it does you good, Levi. I bet it's going to do you good. We got our new Addicted Enforcer braid out in stores right now everywhere. I'm loving it. It's good stuff.
Damn good.
Great volume. Hashtag save Clint. I don't know. We might sacrifice him to the video gremlin gods. Anyways, we're not talking about that now. Hey, you're back. We are back. Let's. Okay, let's. Little needs to do the live feeds. I think Little does need to do the live feeds.
Well, he's supposedly no dogs allowed in this place.
That's right. Yeah,
but
no pets.
So we're just following the rules, guys. Little's outside in the truck, relaxing.
I would watch you guys 24/7. Watch me sleep.
Clint is about to be sturgeon bait. Yep.
Sturgeon bait.
Yeah.
Call him Smelt Clint.
Might work good.
Might work.
He's a greasy guy.
He stinks too. I don't know.
All right. Well, shall we?
So we got a few hundred people in here. Let's give it another minute. Maybe we can do a giveaway. Let's think of a good question. Think of a good question, guys. Did you learn anything from the first half of the live feed? And if you did, what's one little fact that you guys maybe picked up? How about that? Just so then we know what to talk about later. Because during our scheduled break, Marlon and I were already talking about, it's like, you know what? I think I need to go through and make this an hour-long presentation video that we'll put up for you guys on the YouTube channel. And I can use a cursor and we can do some things that will help you guys along.
TJ, thank you for the super chat, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the effort and the education. Anytime, man.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Yep. Yes, sir.
Well, that was fun.
Talk the trout. Electronics matter. You should do a bash at a lake and do fishing while out there. Jesse, that's man. We're kind of waiting on the wings a little bit. Like, we want to do our bashes. You know, that's one thing, you know, it's kind of a bum. We get to hang out 200-300 of you guys, talk some fishing. I've kind of wanted to do a Hummingbird seminar, like, in our local area for a while now. We were kind of starting to talk about that right when COVID hit, where basically bring in a couple units, do some talks. Just obviously the way of the world right now, but it's not a bad idea to maybe do it outside. Yeah. So a couple guys are talking about all good info, the difference between the 455 and the 1.2 hertz, the changing of the gain and adjusting during tides and water clarity. Yeah, Mike, I generally do not leave that sensitivity on. I definitely do not leave that sensitivity on at all. When is Clint making an OnlyFans? What is OnlyFans? I don't even want to know.
Don't.
Can we see down view of 24-24 Go Fast? Terry Knight. There was some down view of 24-24 Go Fast. Addicted Fishing Derby. Michael, we've been talking about that for a while. Do another 7 River 7-day trip. I think we kind of did when we went to Michigan.
Yeah, well, and Bob, too, I was thinking about doing a trout one as well. So comment below, guys, with what you think. What would you think of that if I did a 7-lake or 7-day, some sort of trout challenge as well? Now that it's springtime, I'm thinking that might be a go.
I think it's on. I think that's definitely where we are going. You guys should do your own beneficial type video. I thought it lacked production, but it was dead on with facts. Real true. I agree with you, but the fact of the matter is the facts are there, and it absolutely destroys a lot of the stuff in the artificial video that was complete garbage, and it brings it to light. And so honestly, I would watch that video 100 times and every day, twice on Sunday, so it wouldn't even matter. Really appreciate the comment. Can I get an amen?
Go with God.
Oh yeah. All right, guys, I think that's probably where we're gonna get with our viewers, because do an addicted kokanee tournament. Bring it on. Can I enter?
Yeah.
Can I enter? Can I play?
Maybe.
Wish I could play.
Side scan.
Hey, do another Alaska trip. The trip from a few years ago is still one of the best. Think we should do another Alaska trip soon?
I mean, pull
Like
my
June
leg.
15th?
I want to pull my leg, yeah.
I think we
I
got,
have to talk
we got
me
a
into
really
it.
good. Yeah.
Want me to start with the side scan YouTube?
Yep, let's get it.
No, we're not playing
Why?
that
That's not
game.
the
We're not
problem.
playing that game. All right, we got almost 300 of you
the
guys
problem?
back. I think we're just gonna have to go with it. Marlon, you good with that, bro?
Side scan.
Marlon's-
Side scan. I want to see
Marlon's
some
so
pictures.
bummed, and we're so bummed for you guys too. He's just checked out. But let's do some side scan, because now that you guys watched that awesome video by Hummingbird, and if you guys want to watch that video again, we're not going to play it again, but you can go to YouTube, search Hummingbird side scan, and it's the first one that pops up. So, side imaging. I know, I keep butchering that. Side imaging. My bad. I'm new to boat fishing and want to get the fish finder. What do you guys think of the Lowrance Hook Reveal 9? Oscar, I don't think anything of it because I don't know anything about it. Marlon needs his Chipotle. I think he just left. Just kidding. Okay.
He's probably slashing my tires.
He's probably slashing Clint's tires and keying his car right now. Just for you guys. Just for you guys. So, okay. Phil's got 300 of you guys back. Let's go to the first image, and I think that is number 16. What is that? What are those?
Fish.
Those are fish. Hanging out.
With their bellies on the bottom.
Really nice defined marks on that one. But I also got those fish
Oh, those are
demonstrating. I also got those fish demonstrating on the bottom as well too. Now don't get too excited, everybody, because these are carp. we were out there trying to. What are you circling? I can't read that number.
Oh, it's just,
It should
if
be
people are paying attention, they can see your megahertz up there.
It should be the 455,
It
right?
says 450.
Yeah, so I use a lot of the 455, and truth be told, I probably shouldn't. I probably should just use the Mega, because a lot of times we are not going to be looking out to 400 feet. A lot of times with a lot of our imaging stuff, I try to keep things within 75 to 100 feet, especially with the kokanee fishing. But we'll talk about that kind of stuff in here in a minute. But this is just a good demonstration of side scan here, just some carp that are laying on the bottom. I know they're carp because I tried to catch these fish for like 2 hours until 3 or 4 of them jumped right in that pot. And they laughed at us.
I was
You know,
going to say,
you
I
know
almost
where this
did,
is
I
at.
can see
You-
the
you-
scoops on that one.
I think you were there. So let's go. But now let's see what a spring
Oh.
Chinook shadow looks like. And this is one reason why I think the fishing sucked this year. Because see how he's by himself over on the right side, all the way there, about 60 feet out. Boom. So we talk spring Chinook, guys. And we like to talk about how they like to lay on the bottom in the Columbia River. See them in 18 feet of water. I got a nice defined mark there, and then the shadow. So because in that one video showing that the shadow of the fish was right next to basically the mark, he's basically laying down right on the bottom, right where we're trying to target them. So let's go to the next one. I have a lot of demonstrations of certain shadows for salmon. Now this, I don't know why the image is a little bit chopped up or a little bit. I think I had some sets. I was playing with some settings because I can turn. Really?
Really?
I can turn on the. I think so. One thing with a lot of the side scan or the side imaging is you can turn on certain things like contrast, sharpness, and you can really kind of play with the settings to get the types of details you want. And I think obviously my settings are a little bit off. I got a shadow there on the right side. Yep, Clinton, you can keep moving your cursor there even though the people can't see it. But I got a shadow there on the right side and a springer hanging out there. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for there. Go for the next one though. But I got some much better images, so don't go in. We talk about shadow and talk about distances from the bottom. As you can see, that squiggly, so I got my boat, the center front of the image there. And just like the boat tracking along the bottom, the boat's at the top. Everything is moving from top to bottom. It's, everything is delayed. But you can see on my right side of the boat, I'm actually capturing one of my 360 flashers going up and down. And that's what that squiggly line is. But as you can see, on the bottom there, I'm actually registering the shadow that's correlating to that flasher. And since it's obviously not on the bottom, I'm trolling in 48 feet of water, and it looks like my flasher is sitting down there, probably 20 feet away from the actual transducer. It's reflecting that shadow on the bottom, so it really gives you an idea of the distance between the bottom and what the shadow's correlating to that flasher. Go to the next one. So someone talked about shad. Shad Shadows. Got Shad Shadows laying there on the left side. I'm anchor fishing, hanging out.
Goes to show you the benefit of that side scan right there too, because you're not seeing them on the sonar. You're
right.
Not seeing them. You really are only picking them up because that your cone is too perky at that point.
Yes. Oh yeah. My cone's straight under the boat. Yeah, it's not.
So he's not going to pick up those fish. And
right.
I mean, I've personally seen this with Cam.
And so.
Where that it literally will change his day if he's anchoring, if he's trolling, right. Whatever it is. He's getting the opportunity to find that lane in a way that wasn't available before.
Exactly, and so I'm shad fishing in an area where the boat is actually still, but just because the boat is still doesn't mean that it's not shooting those that sonar off to both sides of the boat. And so as those shad are passing through that sonar, it's registering on the left side of the boat there. You can see the shadows of the shad. And the reason why you're seeing just shadows and not defined marks is because they're probably off the bottom, and they're probably in there somewhere in that brighter yellow area, but they're just not registering. But the point of this picture, the real important thing is what Jordan said, is obviously I got a bunch of shad swimming to the port side of my boat, and I'm not sitting where the shad are at. And also on the starboard side of the image, since I'm anchored up against some rock right here, and since those rocks are not moving, they're just showing defined lines and defined marks on the right side or the starboard side of the boat there. And like I said, I'm anchor fishing at this point. And to understand this concept of pretty much like, okay, I'm anchored right here and I have that side imaging on, and I just keep looking left and keep looking right. And if I keep seeing the fish to the left side of the damn boat, I probably should get in their way, wouldn't you think?
Mm-hmm. Best way to do it.
Best way to do it. If the black area of the side scan images to the left and right of the boat is the water column, how can you tell how far to the side the fish images are? Like if it says 40 on the side, is that 40 feet including the down column? John, so, okay, that's a great question, and I was wondering if this was going to come up, and I didn't even want to talk about it. So first off, shadowing is not where the fish is at all the time, right? So how can you tell how far the side image? And so so let's say I see a fish. Let's say I see some shad swimming, and it's 40 feet on the column. That's just where the shadow's reflecting off the bottom. Those fish are probably within 40 feet. Now the question is, are they on the top or are they on the bottom? It's really hard to tell without the actual shot of the actual mark of the fish itself. I have some, like when we had that Springer picture and it showed that mark being 60 foot out. That doesn't mean that the fish is 60 foot out and then straight down. That means that mark is 60 foot from the transducer at an angle from whatever angle that is. And it's kind of like, and like I said, honestly, when you're looking at something that's 60, 70 feet, yeah, thank you, Clint. So in other words, let's just say Dr. Pepper here is the fish, right? I'm the boat traveling this way.
What am I?
You are just awesome. You just stay right
I'm a
there.
rock.
You are just awesome. You are the rock.
Yeah, I'm the rock.
If this says 60 right here, right, and it's showing that fish underneath it, that fish is 60 feet away from that transducer. However, that transducer it's not calculating 60 and then what's down underneath it. It's taking 60 and arching it down, and that fish is probably right there. But the way the image shows up on it is it shows it as being 60 feet away, but you have to account that downward angle too. So I hope that kind of... How do I know those are shad? Don, the same reason why I know those are salmon. You're a funny guy. So hopefully that answered your question as far as like distances. It's always pretty darn close because ultimately if you're only fishing 20 feet deep of water and you're out there at 60, it can't really... The angle's not that steep. But when we get into some of the kokanee stuff here, when I actually have some depths underneath it, I'll demonstrate with some pictures here in just a few minutes. So
we're in like 13 foot, so.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like 13 foot, 60 feet out to 13 foot down at 60 feet. That angle is going to be such a shallow angle. It's not going to be that bad. But basically the whole point of this image was just to understand if there's fish on the left side of the boat, and I keep seeing fish on the left side of the boat, I don't see them on the right side of the boat, I might want to move to the left. Okay, next picture. So we did shad. Sturgeon. Everybody loves seeing sturgeon pictures. So a lot going on here. I'm not anchored. I am in this situation. I am cruising around looking for sturgeon. And as you can see from my bottom contour mapping, I'm using the bottom contouring as I'm going. And the reason why I'm doing that is because basically I'm fishing some very shallow, dangerous sand flat channels that really love to move around a lot. And so what I'm doing is I'm making my own map. As you can see, I'm kind of cruising in and out of there, checking out that channel, that orange area, and I'm looking for sturgeon as I'm going. So those shadows, obviously, one thing nice about sturgeon is for the most part, they do like to hang on the bottom. As you can see, I've got sturgeon kind of everywhere in this area. And a lot of times now, I will not even try to go sturgeon fishing until I see the marks on my screen because they're so easily identifiable down in some of the shallow water fisheries. I mean, they look just like logs on the bottom. And I got lots of really cool pictures of sturgeon to go forth. Go to 20A there.
I was just gonna say, this one you can tell it's closer to the bottom because that light is actually the mark of the side, side scan mark.
Oh yeah, good point. And that was missing from the shad. That's a good point, Clint. The only good thing you've done today, besides kill the whole live feed. Yeah, you can actually physically see the mark. In some of these other pictures, you will be able to. And like I said, I've obviously adjusted my sharpness and my contrast settings to where I can actually see the image as well. Go to 20A. That's a good point. Good point, Clint. Thank you. So right there again, like what you talked about, I was anchored in this situation, and the fish were actually moving by me. So that's why the whole bottom gets kind of streaky because all those little pebbles and little depressions are staying in one spot. But as I was sitting there anchored, like I said, fish were cruising by me. Go next slide. There, and there it is again. Fish were moving by me as I was anchored. Nice solid registers. When you see something that looks about 8 feet long to the right of your boat and you catch an 8-foot sturgeon, there you go. 9.5 feet. There's another good mark, and now you can actually see a little bit of the tail, but keep going there on the left side. Small mark because he's a little closer. He's a little more right under the boat. I wanted to use that one just to kind of demonstrate that since it's not casting that shadow, it's not off to the side, it's more underneath the boat. It's a little more of a defined, finer shadow. Keep going. Another one there, fish are a little angled, and then you can see basically both of those concepts where the fish are off to the side a little further, so they're casting the shadow, like kind of right there next to the 0.6 and the 7:28 a.m. You can see the mark, the shadow casted, and then I got that one that's really close to me right on my left side, pretty much right under the boat, and you just barely faintly see the actual mark of the fish plus the shadow and just the nice definition there. I'm only in 14 feet of water there. Now these ones, another spot where I was anchored and fish were kind of moving through, so they got kind of that weird kind of look as I'm kind of, I mean, the boat might have been rocking, might have been windy,
This one looks
but you can definitely see definition of the fish. Keep going. Now these ones, same kind of thing. I was anchored sitting in one spot and the fish were kind of like moving underneath the boat. That's why like some are streaking because the fish are kind of hanging there. Some are kind of moving through, and so it's casting all these kind of goofy shadows. I might have even actually been fighting this fish. I couldn't really tell, but
it looks fighty. It looks like
yeah.
It looks like the kick of his tail.
Yeah, so there might have been something, like I said, going on there where like I said, I think I was actually fighting them, but so you don't always get like just the perfect, beautiful definition marks. But yeah, go to the next one. Now that is when you get the beautiful, perfect definition marks. As I was anchored by there, a fish must have swam directly downstream right by me. So as he went through that beam, I zoomed in a little bit on the actual finder screen. As you can see, that is, yeah, that's pretty neat when you see those. Keep going because I got some more of those. Oh no, I don't. Now let's So now let's talk a little bit about salmon with your anchor. So real fast before you hit that, Clint. So yeah, I mean, side imaging technology from Hummingbird, cruising salmon sturgeon flats, looking for fish, takes so much of that guesswork because in a lot of those situations, guys, down there cruising around, like there will be times, I mean, I can think of this one story last year, the last time we fished. We didn't fish last year. Something happened. Something happened in May. I don't remember what. I think we were like the only state to close fishing. I can't remember. Something. Anyways, but bottom line is like I would see people like there was a couple channels and fingers of like sand chutes and edges of channels. And I was seeing boats come into this one particular spot and they'd anchor and they'd fish it for like half an hour and they'd leave. They'd anchor it and they'd fish it a half hour and leave. And we were on fish up on the flat while the tide switched and these boats were like really like I saw 4 or 5 different boats, a couple guides hitting the spot. And I was kind of like watching, over there and we were getting dewatered where we were at. I'm like, I gotta move. I gotta go see what's going on over there. And I didn't see any of them catch any fish and they were close enough to where I'd be there. Well, bottom line is that tide changed and those fish scurried off the flats, got into the channel. So I went in there and I'm like, I'm just gonna go scan that. And I went and scanned it and it was freaking loaded with fish. In fact, we might have filmed a really awesome Ultimate Keeper Sturgeon episode of Addicted Life on our YouTube channel on that exact day. And when I pulled in there at the right time when the fish were there, I knew they were there because I saw them on my down imaging. Side imaging, excuse me.
But let's be real. The real reason you caught fish that day. The wig.
Oh, the Carnegie Wiggy.
Yeah.
Yes, the Carnegie Wiggy makes its first debut appearance in that video as well. No, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
But what I'm trying to say is like a lot of boats were moving into that area thinking like, oh, this is a good spot. And they go there and they throw their gear out. Nothing. Give it a half hour. I mean, when you're fishing on flats, they're either there or not. Pick their gear up, bail out. And I saw a couple boats do that over the tide, but then just so happened when I went there, I was lucky enough to where there was a ball of fish right there. And I guarantee you I was not doing anything different than those other boats. Like, guaranteed. But when I was there, the fish were there, and I knew they were there because I used my side imaging. So, for what it's worth. Let's talk about some salmon side imaging.
Right here, right?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, salmon side imaging. So this is anchor fishing, guys. Now, I have this picture just kind of like in the shad picture. I'm demonstrating that the salmon are sitting there on my starboard side. I've got some rock sitting on, that's that black area about 45 feet to my right, and it's staying pretty stagnant because I'm actually just hanging out there. And I know this area very, very, very well. So I know what I'm marking, I know what I'm seeing, I know what I'm catching. But as you can see, there's some side image salmon there on my right side. And once again, the marks aren't, the marks of the actual fish aren't that clear. Salmon are a little bit tougher to do. Every now and then you get those ones with the springers. like that Springer picture where you actually see the definition of the mark. But I think I'm in too shallow water or something right there, or they're too close to the boat. But I've got some other ones here that demonstrate the actual mark and the actual shadow of the salmon.
So that's
why the frick are they pointed down river?
Because he's trolling down
Believe
river.
it or not, they're not pointed down river. So think about this. If I'm anchored in the current and it's scrolling from top to bottom, right? If I'm anchored in the current, so the boat, I'm anchored there, back of the boat sitting there, right? Side imaging is going out to the side. I'm going to hopefully demonstrate this with my hands. And it's scrolling from top to bottom, and that fish is moving upriver as I'm staying still. Fish is moving upriver. What part of the fish is hitting that sonar first? The head. Mm-hmm. The point of the fish. So that's why you're seeing that is being demonstrated. Yes, it looks like it's going downriver. The reality is he's going upriver past me, going the other direction. But because it's scrolling from top to bottom, and since it's going to see the head first before the tail as it's moving that direction, that's how it's represented there. Hope that answered your question. People actually fish 7 feet of water. Dude, are you kidding me right now? I think that's a joke. That's a joke. Okay. So next one. Next picture. Go ahead.
It's black because
that's black because that's rock. That is, well, it's one of two things.
Or your motor.
It's one of two things. It's either dry land and the water's not up there, or what the objects that are laid up right there. Maybe it's like an underwater jetty and it's not casting. Think about whatever that is on the right side. I know what it is. I know it's the shoreline. But whatever that right side is obviously bouncing the sonar back, and you're never going to see anything behind it. So it's just a solid object. Yeah. But it is the shore in that particular matter.
But you don't have to raise your motor then, because a lot of people.
So go back to the next image then. So another thing too with the side imaging, what I have to do and what Clint's going to bring up to disrupt my thing. Just kidding. Is sometimes you actually do need to like trim up your prop or your kicker engine just a little bit, because you also have to let that transducer look out that way. So for the same reason why it's blocking the image further to the right, those rocks are, your skeg or your motors will do the same too. So when I have to, when I want to use my side image to the fullest capabilities, I have to trim my motor up probably only about like 6 inches just to clear it. And once I do, I can see the full image. So good point.
I wasn't trying to distract
you. No, that's a good point. That's a good thing. Now we're going to play. You can see I've got some real nice salmon marks there. You can barely kind of correlate the actual brighter mark.
Goldfish?
What's that?
They look like goldfish.
They do look like goldfish. Cute little fishies. I got one on my right, one on my left. Those are Chinook, actually.
Not goldfish?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good shot.
Keep going. They get better. Now, those are sockeye. In that same general area. It's not the same exact spot, but I anchor there a lot. So let's talk about this real quick, because anyways, that's just a different, you actually get some size. Hold on a second, let me figure out what I want to say with this one. There was something else here. I can't remember, other than it's a real nice shot of the rock on the starboard side of the boat and the fish swimming out to the port side. Never mind, I can't remember. Keep going. Next one. Okay. Oh, here we go. So this one was cool because I even remember this one. I was sockeye fishing, and you can see some little marks, a little fish and stuff. And all of a sudden, I look over to the right side, and now keep in mind, even though that says 30 foot where that big fish mark is on the starboard side, that's only like 5 feet, 6 feet deep. And I know you know those rocks. And what I was seeing there is I was seeing steelheads. I was seeing larger steelhead swim along those rocks real tight. And I remember seeing, when I see images like that, when I see images like that, I have a little coon shrimp spinning glow around the boat. I was firing off to that right side, and I was finding steelhead that morning sitting there on that bank. So, I might be anchored in those spots, but being able to like pick that up, and since I had those rocks, I was basically fishing along a jetty. And since I had those rocks and I kind of knew where those rocks came down to the bottom and met sand, it pinpointed me right on that traveling lane for those steelhead. And it was, it basically keyed me onto a bunch of fish that were moving through right along those rocks. And yeah, that is chirp. Yeah, since if it says mega, it's the chirp.
Yeah, down the bottom.
Oh, the bottom right has the frequency too. Yeah, see. Saw the guy on the right on a Steelhead magazine at Outdoor Emporium the other day. This guy, he'll sign it for you too. I've got this shot here. Now this was kind of interesting because I don't for whatever reason with the damn salmon, I don't see this too often in the spring and summer. But I actually had fish swimming right directly under the boat, and so it was registering those. You can actually see the marks in the water column. And then the fish being cast, the shadow being casted on the left side. And they were off the bottom a little ways too, since the shadow wasn't touching them. And that was kind of weird. But it gives you an idea that you still can see those salmon and those fish in that middle water column as well. Go next.
Yeah. The only thing I was just gonna say, you can see how it marks them in the water column. If it was over the land, that's why it's hard to see a lot of
it's a good point. And you're right, Clint. And see the color of those marks. What Clint's I know what you're trying to say. I'm going to redo it here, but see the color of the marks, guys, because it doesn't understand the sonar doesn't. It just gets a return, whether it's bottom or fish or whatever. It just gets a return, and how dense or how strong of a return it gets, it colors that. So when it's coloring a fish as a return, it's the same damn color as the bottom. And so I just so happened to catch those two directly under the boat on the port side a little bit. I bet that port side back rod was the one that got them.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't get them because it swam onto the boat, which means it went past my lures. And I suck. Just kidding. A couple more cool marks of fish. Right side there. You can kind of faintly see the actual marks themselves too if you look at those two shadows on the right. They look pretty tight to the bottom. Keep going there. Oh, I zoomed in marks for you. You can kind of see and see what Clint was talking about in that last slide. It's the same color as the bottom, and I bet, if I got real creative and really played with it. One thing, and this brings up a good point too. I was there and it was awesome, Nick. Yes, you were. I guarantee. One thing I want to point out too is a lot of times when I'm trying to figure these things out, and you're trying to figure out your sonar, because I'm seeing what's your settings, what's this, what's that, what's that, what's that. If you are in a target-rich environment, it's really hard to get these things figured out during springer season when you're only going to pass. I mean, we were trolling full days and maybe marking 3 fish. And the only reason why I knew they were fish because take those electronics and go into these target-rich environments. Go to where there's really good kokanee fishing. Go to where there's a lot of salmon held up in the hole. And if you get those opportunities, really take advantage of them. When you get those opportunities too as well, if you can stop your sonar, whether it's the Hummingbird or any of the other ones, if you can stop the sonar and then at that point in time, play with the contrasts and play with the sensitivities while the screen is stopped. So it's I got salmon jumping all over and I've got these cool marks on the boat, but I want to really try to define them. I want to really try to make them pop. That's when I'll pause the screen, go through, adjust my sensitivities, adjust this, adjust my coloring, and take those opportunities to really fine tune that. Because then when you're not in a target rich environment, hopefully it's going to stand out more to you, or you're going to have a better understanding of what you're exactly looking at and seeing.
Do you have any of those?
No, there's no sharks or halibut. No, Ronald, those are not. They do look like halibut, I'll give you that. But because the side imaging is casting the shadow alongside the salmon, it's putting it down on the bottom. It's kind of widening it, so yeah, they look like fat little halibut sitting there. Damn, I wish they were halibut.
That's what I was asking.
It's damn.
Any pictures of halibut or no?
Right. Okay, TJ, thank you. Great comment. I seem to mark fish I don't catch and catch fish where there are no marks. Love it. And so do I. A lot. First off, the biggest thing is a lot of times most of your gear is never in the sonar. right? So if something is, the only time your gear is in the sonar is if it's like underneath your freaking back transom of your boat, especially fishing 20 to 50 feet. That a lot of people think that like sonar under your boat is looking out where your side imaging is, but your sonar is not. So when you mark something on your screen, chances are like, if you're trolling, obviously you still have a shot at it, but you don't see everything. And I always tell my clients that I'm like, I'm marking fish here. This is where I want to be. And I just know I'm in a little bit more of a target-rich environment where I've got more opportunities at fish. There are plenty of times, though, when I'm trolling where I do see a mark and I get a bite. And if I saw that mark on the screen, you can see this in something. Shoot, Nick Popov and I did one in a video. I did one in a video early springer fishing where like I'm going, Sean, come here. There's a mark right here on the camera, and then or mark right here on the finder, and then we're turning around and see a rod just cork over. So like there's times when that happens, and when those times and those moments happen where like really try to pay attention. I know it's hard to be like, okay, I'm gonna go back and look at my finder right when I got a bite. It's hard to do because you're just like, boom, tunnel vision, focus on the fish and the bite and what's going on. But it's really important to take advantage of those situations and then pause your screen, make those images pop, make those blobs pop. It's definitely a part of like, honestly, fishing with the good Hummingbird electronics every day.
But it depends on if you're passing over the fish first, you're seeing the fish, and then you're bringing your gear to it versus your gear's out there or your anchor fishing, the fish are coming to your gear.
Right, yeah. Any fish I see on that side imaging when I'm anchor is already fish that went past my gear and basically snubbed me. But yeah, that is so true, man. Like but then there's also days, TJ, where like when we're like 360 trolling in the deep water, and I've got a wider cone down at depth where the fish are at. We're like we'll troll a long time, not see anything, and I will tell my clients, I'm like, oh my God, there's a school. We are going to get bit. Watch the rods. Oh, there he is. Yeah, pick it up. That happens a lot too, though. So it's, I don't know. But you're right. You don't ever catch the one you see, blah, blah, blah. Go next slide. Oh, school of sockeye right under the boat. Obviously off the bottom a little bit because you can see right above the cursor there. You can see the marks. Just another one of those situations where it's just kind of tough to see the salmon marks. So I got the cursor right there and they're casting the shadows. The only thing that I'm getting out of this is that, the fish are just swimming a little bit more on the left side. And if I kept sawing that, I might move over. Or if I kept seeing that, I might move over to just a little bit. But just another really good shot. And then my favorite, when you got salmon and sturgeon swimming through. As you can see on the right side, hidden in those rocks, yep, there's another steelhead or something moving along that right side. Nope, the blob, yep. And then underneath the boat, I got a damn sturgeon that swam through. And that's like the only sturgeon I've seen on side imaging swimming through that particular area while I was anchored sockeye fishing. So I thought that was pretty cool. Best of both worlds there. So now we're going to talk a little bit about, not a little bit, we're going to talk a lot about kokanee and trout side imaging and when I'm using side imaging and how I'm using it in the lakes. But I was watching a show where they recovered a body and a car that was a 7-year-old case by side imaging. Anthony, yeah, I don't doubt that one bit. Do you think that sonar pings spook the fish at all? Makes me wonder, because like those fish, when they're swimming up the river and there's like 500 boats all just everyone's heard that clicking in their garage when they leave their finder on when they go home.
You can hear it in the water too.
Yeah, you can hear it. Time. So Sean, I think they do, and there's been times there's a lot of times when I go fishing, in our tributaries and stuff, I don't even use the finder. We know the bottoms and stuff like that. We know where the fish are at, and it doesn't seem like I do better when I have the finder off or on. It's kind of one of those things that probably should pay a little more attention to, I guess. That was rude. Okay, let's talk some kokanee here, side imaging. So right here, guys, a couple things to point out. I'm running the 455 kilohertz, and you can actually use your side imaging in the lakes and in the situations where you're never going to pick up a fish on sonar. And one thing that happens in our local lakes is that these fish are a lot of times on the surface. And when they're on the surface, your boat is never going to drive over the top of them, and you're never going to see them on sonar. Go to the next one.
I was just gonna say you could, but
the fish move around. So go. Keep going here, I think. So this right here is a beautiful picture of what I was just explaining there, where I've got a pile of kokanee to the left side of my boat, and I've got nothing on my sonar down below. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean, it shows that those kokanee are 25 to 50 feet out. It doesn't necessarily mean that those fish are on the surface 25 or 50 feet out. Once again, they're 25, 50 feet out from the transducer. But one thing I do is when I'm doing a lot of my kokanee fishing and I'm running around, if I continually see fish on the surface and I don't see them on my sonar, and I don't see them on the sonar. I apologize, guys. I'm turning that off. I eventually can come to the conclusion that these fish are running shallower and the boat is flaring those kokanee or those trout off to the side of the boat a lot. So keep going down there, Chief. And why that's important, yeah, once again, got a school of kokanee on the right side. Not seeing anything on the sonar down below. Keep going. Got a bunch of kokanee off the left side. Keep going. It's going to get to one. There we go. Perfect. So now I've got a situation here where I'm seeing some kokanee at depth and I'm seeing them on the left and right side of the boat. Now, one thing with that side imaging, like I said, those fish, I'm fishing very clear water and those fish are flaring away from the boat. But a lot of times, too, kokanee don't just swim left and right when they're sitting on the surface. They will, like, swoop down underneath. Couple things that I know from this image. It's 47.1 degrees. So it's pretty cold water. So that's generally surface fishing when it comes to kokanee, at least in my area. I know some of the other guys that fish some of the deeper lakes, the warmer water is down below, so they're fishing much deeper. But as you can see here, that kind of demonstrates that fish will move left and move right away from the boat and then also under the boat and dive down to get away from the shadow of death, i.e. that's me. Those lines that are on the right and left side of the boat, I think someone asked that, Trey, are my downriggers. And I'm running a couple downriggers at like 8 feet down just to separate some surface lines. So that's not really important because it's not even registering on the sonar imaging there. But that's just to kind of demonstrate that even though those fish are on the side imaging are out, 50 to 75 feet on the marks, the school is definitely predominantly like 40 feet down below. And it's just the further out they go, the more they stretch out in distance from the transducer. Did I just blow your brain, Clint?
No, I think, especially for the kokanee guys, I don't think they really understand that. I think you need to really explain the cone. So like when it's really shallow, like when you're close to your boat, imagine how wide your transducer is.
Yeah, hold on. So that's like that's like while we're talking any of that side imaging, like let's say
I'm saying just elaborate more on the normal sonar. Like they're not marking fish when they're really shallow on the
right, yeah.
Sonar.
So anything, yeah. So the fish are all in the top 10 feet of water, and the visibility is 15 feet. I think those fish sometimes are in like 3 feet of water. I think they're just under the surface where the birds won't get them. When that boat goes cruising over those things and that school's there, that you're not looking down and ever looking and seeing kokanee. Those fish see that boat coming and they flare and they side away, and then you split the distance. It's why we put our lines way out back. Because you got to give those fish a chance to circle around and swim, because that's what they're doing. You got to give them a chance to suck back in behind your boat and actually get your gear. That's why people are talking a lot about side planers and whatnot. Now, since those fish are flaring off to the sides of the boat, they're not going down. Well, if that sonar cone's going in and the fish are going this way and this way, they're never registering under traditional sonar that's straight under the boat.
I guess if let's just paint a picture. If they didn't move or they didn't flare, you still wouldn't mark them unless they went almost directly under.
Right. Okay. And that's another good point, Clint. That cone is the thinnest. So here's the boat. The cone's a triangle, right? So what he's saying is that up here in 5 feet of water, that is the part where the triangle is the thinnest. Right. And so the odds of them hitting that part of the cone and then being registered onto the fish finder, and the likelihood is also very small. So literally, like, yeah, I mean, if that kokanee was 5 feet down and he's going to show up on the finder, I mean, you'd have to be able to look over the side boat and see him.
Go right under your transfer.
Yeah, he's not going to stay there.
Yeah,
he's not.
Because the disc, the closer you are to the surface, it's only painting maybe a 6-inch wide. Versus the further you go down, you could be doing 30 feet, 60 feet. Like it's, anyways. I don't think kokanee guys always.
No. Well, like I said, that's why I have some of these pictures where I'm picking fish up on side imaging, but I'm never picking up sonar. But why is that important? Keep going down to the next one. Keep going. Yeah, but keep going.
Oh, you're already on
One more there.
There we go.
Yeah, that's another one that the school's kind of down below. And go up one, just real quick. But the reason why that's important is because, so if you're never going to pick up a fish on traditional sonar, right, you don't know if you are, unless the fish are like jumping around, which they do occasionally, but you never know if you're fishing in a desert. And kokanee, especially winter kokanee, can be really somewhat finicky, somewhat tough. And generally when I go fishing, I like to try to put myself in front of the most fish as possible. And a lot of these guys that are going up, fish at some of these local lakes, they're not even fishing in the quadrant of the lake where there is no fish, like because of water temperatures or whatnot. And there's also no way for them to ever know. So if you want to increase your odds on some of this kokanee fishing and some of this trout fishing we have in the local lakes, I would tell you right now, side imaging is your freaking biggest tool that you could put in your toolbox for doing that. Hopefully that answered that question. Now that right there, that's just a great demonstration of where side imaging, even though it says that it's 15 to 25 feet out, but I'm actually getting that sonar arch, that kind of shows a little bit what I'm talking about. Like, it's not distance straight out from the boat and then down. It's always at an angle. So I'm getting side imaging returns at 20 feet. I'm just going to average 20, 25 feet. But then down below, I'm getting them on the sonar as well. And so that's probably a school that's just hanging down in there. It doesn't necessarily, and like I said, that's why I want to always correlate the sonar as well, because I'm seeing them on my side imaging, but there's really no way for me to tell if they're down 30 feet or not, or if they're on the surface at 30 feet unless I'm getting something on the sonar as well. But like I said, if I keep picking them up on side scan and I never pick them up on sonar, I can pretty much derive they're on the surface and they're avoiding me. What do you do to catch them when they're moving around the boat?
Put your stuff out back further.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah,
Get
so
it
that's
further
Justin,
away from what they're moving from.
Yeah, Justin, that's why we push lines back sometimes 100 to 200 feet behind the boat. What for those on a budget, what's the minimum we can spend to get something decent? I know some of the helixes have Hummingbird helixes have side imaging. Unfortunately, I'm not really familiar with a lot of those models, since I'm, like I said, all this imaging is coming from the Solix, Solix 12. But a lot of the Hummingbird units are all capable of side imaging, and I think any of them would work because, we get the larger screens and it helps to work for charting and plotting. But just to like get your way around the kokanee lake and just to be able to basically be able to achieve this, it probably wouldn't take that big of it's not going to take a $5,000 unit to do that. Now this picture here that's up on the screen, guys, same kind of thing I was talking about before. I've got them on the side imaging at 25 feet, but I also got them down on the boat at 25 feet. I can probably derive that those fish are hanging down at depth. You can get a helix with SI for like $400. There you go.
Yeah.
Dave.
I was just pulling up.
Yep.
With SI and you can get them with down eye.
Yeah.
So.
Now, TJ, I'm going to approach this real quick. With the Panoptics and new technology, side scan prices have come down. And I understand how cool be able to see the fish bite, moving around, watch a fish come into the screen. But the problem is, like, with a lot of that stuff, there's never a time delay. So, like, if you're running that stuff, you have to be watching that stuff. And I don't think it's a this or that situation, like one is better than the other, because I can tell you, like for instance, like if I'm anchored with Panoptics, unless I see that fish move through the image and move out, and I was looking at the screen when he did that, I don't know if that fish went by on that spot. But with side imaging, since there's a time delay and a scroll delay, I can see that I don't have to watch the screen as intently. So I don't think as companies start developing these live scan technologies, there's going to be uses for them, but I don't think it ever is going to replace side imaging or sonar. Like, I really don't.
Most people can't even read normal.
Most people can't even read normal sonar and normal side imaging. Go to the next one. That's a good point. That's a good point. Go to the next screen there. I think we're almost done here, guys. Yeah, this. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's a kokanee freaking beat down. You talk about trying to be in the areas where the kokanee are at. This time of year, I mean, I can tell you right now, this is an early fishery. It's 44.7 degrees. As you can see, I'm definitely I'm on them. And sometimes
I'm on them.
I'm on them.
I'm right next to
right
him.
where I need to be.
This is what you want to see.
Yep. But, you know, like I said, 44 degrees, super tight fish. And they can be finicky, and sometimes they don't want to bite, but I want to make sure that I keep going through them, so when they want to bite, I'm there with them. Last one. And I just wanted to leave you at this. One real cool shot, bottom contouring. As you can see, I got the deeper depths of the purple there. I don't know why I put this one last, but I'm going to close with it. Because you can see I got some salmon blobs on the bottom. It's wavy because I'm going up and down fighting wind chop, and I know right where that's at. That's the Astoria Bridge above the Astoria Bridge on the Oregon side. I can tell just from that angle, and I'm going to leave you guys with that.
Clint, pick one more winner.
Picture.
We appreciate you hanging in with us there tonight, guys.
Yeah.
And Cameron really unloaded some knowledge on it. So if you didn't really get a lot of this, go back and watch this one again. This is a live feed I think people can watch over and over. Well, you're only going to get half of it, so.
Or not. I think I'm going to have to get together with Sean this week. And we'll make this happen for you guys. So, did you guys learn anything tonight?
Watch all of it on Facebook.
Oh, you watch all of it on Facebook too. So if you guys are on YouTube, you can go over and check the video on Facebook. Maybe we can figure out a way to re-upload it to the YouTube.
No,
we're not doing that. Never mind. Scratch that. Stay tuned for a full electronics breakdown brought to you by yours truly in the near future.
Good job, Cameron.
Or go watch the live feed.
Great job, Cameron.
On Facebook.
We did like
Yes.
hour-long one of those.
We will do it. We'll do it. And then I can use a cursor and I can actually like show people like on screen stuff. Yeah. So we'll do it for you guys.
Who's getting the flask and the weights?
Ooh, the flask and the weights. That was great. So informative. Thanks, man. We'll continue on this, guys. We'll continue on this a little future.
Let's just
in
use the
future as
randomizer.
we keep going. Yes.
Some of the comments we already
Yep.
got, or you want to add?
Yep.
You ready?
And real fast, if anybody is looking for this exact unit, I know a place that has 2 12s and 3 15s, no 10s, Solexes, available right now. And in this day and age, it's good to know where those are at. Because I tell you what, just like everything.
I know where my new depth finder's at.
Shut up. Yeah, anyways, if you're looking for one message, I know where a couple's at. So, yeah.
All right.
Retailer. Let's do it. Pick a winner. Random.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah, that one.
Pretty sure Addicted uses the Guide Select Akuma gear. Why, yes.
Sean,
we
you're
do.
the winner, buddy.
We do use the Guide
Thanks
Select
for
Akuma
commenting
gear.
so much tonight.
And the
You
bass
were
gear.
awesome.
And the trolling gear.
Email orders at addicted.fishing.
Yeah.
Be sure to let us know what you won. You got the flask and you got the inline weights. Congrats, bud.
Heck yeah.
And thanks again to everybody.
Awesome,
Have
guys.
a fun, hot weekend out there if you're in the
Dude,
Northwest.
what are you doing this weekend?
Turkey hunting.
Turkey hunting.
Yeah.
You're not fishing?
No, I got to guide some
Yeah,
turkey
why would you
hunts,
do
and
that?
I might take my best bud over here turkey hunting. We'll see.
Heck yeah. Awesome, guys.
All right,
Well,
everyone.
Go fry in the sun. Wear
Yeah.
sunscreen.
See you later.
Later, guys.